Okay, so we've got one Stories of You session left, and it's always like equally nerve-wracking and relieving when you get to be the last one to speak. Like equally nerve-wracking because you're the one that's going to leave everybody at the end of the day, right? But also it's kind of relieving because you don't have to speak right away. You don't have to get it over with. You can kind of like relax and eat lunch and all of that. And hope the farts don't get you. Gosh. Anyway, so Ashlee's going to talk to us about sharing her personal journey of resilience, emphasizing 3 powerful lessons. 1, that family does not equal biology, that pain is temporary, and to seek the tools out that you need to empower yourself. So let's welcome to the stage our last speaker of the day. Sending us home is Ashlee Toal.
So I'm incredibly nervous. I don't do public speaking ever, so and I might talk fast. So if I do, you can tell me to slow down. Oh, I need to be here? You can't hear? Can you hear me? Okay. Sorry. So I'm here to share my journey, and so I've had a pretty awful 5 years. In 2020, I made the painful but necessary decision to leave my marriage due to domestic violence, which forced me to leave and rebuild everything, my home, my finances, my sense of security, and everything as a single mother. In 2021, I lost my mom, and it's a loss that left me to try to balance the roles of both a grieving daughter and a present engaged mother. Because it was also my daughter's grandmother, right? So it was very challenging. In 2022, my neck collapsed and I had to have surgery to fuse that. And then my daughter has some health issues as well that were really challenging for us to work through. And then in 23, my daughter and I both had COVID, and I had long COVID, whatever that is, but it was awful. And my daughter was facing all of her stuff as well, and all while trying to grapple with the deepening grief for my mother after having a final fallout with my father, who I chose to go no contact with. Hence, the family's not biological. By 24, I thought surely I'd had enough. Nothing else was going to happen, right? But that's not true because I got a breast cancer diagnosis. I went in for my mammogram. I've gone yearly because my grandmother died of breast cancer. And when I was called back, I thought, well, this isn't going to be anything like, it's whatever, right? You hear people get called back all the time. But no, they did a biopsy, and I had invasive breast cancer. But look at me now, I'm up here in front of all of you speaking and being vulnerable. So our journeys get us to a new place. So I could sit here and tell you all the grim and gore of having breast cancer, but instead I'd like to tell you about Patricia. Patricia is the coworker that has been there since the very beginning, but nobody really knows what she does. And sorry, I lost my spot. Just that the current owners are even too scared of her to do anything or fire her, and she really runs the show. She's got that short, fried blonde hair from bleaching it so much and not taking care of it like the grandmas that we see in movies, and we're all like, hee. And she swears up and down that she doesn't smoke, but she also swears up and down. And every time she leaves the parking lot in her little red sedan, she's got a cigarette between her fingers, and her other hand flips off the office, and she's got a lot of sass, right? And if you try to talk to her in the office, you know, she pulls her glasses down, you know what I'm talking about, and talks to you in that fashion. Patricia was my cancer. My daughter and I, it's just my daughter and I, Maren, I'm so incredibly proud of you and thankful to have you in my life, and I'm blessed that you call me mom. But we had to find a way to cope. It's just the two of us. And we decided we could laugh, which we did, or we can cry, which we also did. And after spending a lot of time holding each other crying and then watching mindless cop and law shows, because you want your mind to be busy, and that's interesting to watch other people get in trouble. We decided to give Patricia her name and her personality, and then we started to plan her murder. So with the help of some very skilled professionals, we headed out to do that. And the doctors and support staff at the Mercy Hall-Perrine Center are amazing. And they helped us to successfully murder Patricia. It was a... It was such a joke that the medical staff around my room while I was waiting to be wheeled into surgery had heard Marn and I talking about it. And every person I talked to and asked about, every person that I talked, sorry, I'm nervous, I'm going probably too fast. Well, anyway, they all heard about it somehow. So the tech comes to get me, to take me to surgery, and she's asking me about Patricia. So we're talking about Patricia, and that goes all the way into the operating room where all those people are doing stuff you don't know what they're doing, but they all have to be in there. But they joined in, so it was really nice. And the last thing I heard before I went under for surgery, I had a great anesthesiologist, and she leaned over and she said, "You're going to go to sleep now so that we can murder Patricia." So it was great it was a great coping mechanism. But laughing and trying to find small pieces of joy that didn't take the pain and fear away, but it loosened the grip. It allowed us to cope. It allowed us to survive. So now we had killed Patricia, right? We murdered her, but what's the first thing that happens in a murder? We've all seen it in the cop shows. There's retaliation. And those are the cousins or best friends or the people that come out and, they want revenge. So in order to take care of that, we had to get rid of all the witnesses. And this is what we did in radiation. My daughter was there with me every single day. We kept joking. We kept trying to laugh through every appointment. But radiation was probably the hardest and most painful battle of my cancer. Many people trying to be supportive to me just kept saying, "Well, you're lucky you didn't have to have chemo." And we did hear from Erica, her experience with that, but I didn't have to have that. But what I knew was radiation was evil. My entire breast, armpit, and side had to be radiated. It goes from your chest up, your chest up here, down your sternum, 2 fingers under your breast, and all the way into your back. So it's a very large area that they radiate. My skin started to burn so badly that it was peeling off. My armpit swelled to the size of a cantaloupe. And it was raw, and I was in so much pain. For 2 weeks, all I did was sit on the couch with my arm propped up, because I couldn't do anything else. They prescribed me burn medication that they use on victims in the burn units. And my daughter had to apply all the stuff I had to do 3 times a day because it was so painful I couldn't touch myself. I couldn't shower on my own, I couldn't lift my arm, and I could hardly even rest when I was on the couch. In fact, the first time I showered after my radiation ended, when I was able to wash my hair with my right hand, I was so excited, and I yelled and I cried with so much joy, and my daughter came in the bathroom thinking I maybe fell in the shower and hurt myself. But I didn't, and I was just so happy about that. My breast tissue is attached to my muscle. I don't have full motion of my right arm, but there are some really good physical therapists out there to help with that. So I had been in therapy for years. Again, I said I went no contact with my father. But nothing had worked for me. I would think I was better, and I'd feel better, and then something would snowball and happen, and I would go all the way back to the very beginning of the pain in my life. It wasn't until my cancer diagnosis that I actually found a therapist that worked for me. I had seen multiple ones where, my healing grew stagnant with them, or, the one that fell asleep on me right after I got my diagnosis. And I was very upset by that. And the next day I had radiation, and I asked to see my oncology nurse. You see him at least once a week, but you can see him every day if you'd like to, and sometimes I did during the weeks. But so Lisa was my oncology nurse, and she was a true angel and a rock for me during radiation. And she was just appalled that this therapist had fallen asleep on me, so she said, "Let me see what I can do." 2 hours later, I got a phone call from a therapist who said, "Did I hear correctly that somebody fell asleep on you right after you got a breast cancer diagnosis?" And I said, "Yeah, you did." And she said, "I'll see you tomorrow at 9 or 3. So that was an amazing gift. I went in with her. She challenged me. She met me where I was, but refused to let me stay there. And when she recognized that some parts of my healing needed deeper work that she didn't maybe specialize in, she didn't pretend to have all the answers, and she brought in a second therapist from her office, someone who could help me in the ways that she couldn't. They were both amazing. I saw both of them once a week for about 6 months. Honestly, I am mentally in a better place now than I ever have been in my adult life, and so that's one of my blessings from cancer. So pain leaves scars, and sometimes these are on the body, and sometimes they're on the mind and the heart. But although it leaves scars, that pain is temporary. It's a classic therapy quote. I'm sure a lot of you have heard yourselves. It's such a simple sounding phrase, yet so hard to adopt in your mindset. Pain can be suffocating. It can be overwhelming. It can give you a whirlwind of emotions. It can bring on a fear of living so powerful that it can drive those who long for a better life to take their own. Something even I had been pushed to think about. But I thought about my family, other than my daughter. The people who saved me, the ones who pulled me out, weren't all blood relatives. My boss, mentor, and friend encouraged me and supported me every day. My work has been phenomenal through this journey. I can't thank them enough. My coworkers, I'd never even imagined I would connect with. I did. They sent me flowers today because they couldn't be here. Friends who, by the way, I'm a tax accountant, and that's why they couldn't be here, because it's our busy season. But I felt like I needed to do this. Let's see. Friends who love didn't fade in the hardship, it grew stronger. Family isn't always biological, but rather is the hands that reach into the overwhelming whirlwind of the storm and help pull you out. My therapists have taught me many tools for when old scars start to flare up. And today I want to share one with you. Think about when you pull up to a stop sign. You stop, right? If you're in the car, the conversation stops for a minute. People look left, they look right, then you move on. Your body has that muscle memory to stop. So when thoughts are consuming your head and you're having a very difficult time, you can imagine the stop sign. On the left of that stop sign is the pain, the moments that left the scars. One of mine was my father leaving me in an apartment on my own when I was 16. How I graduated, I honestly have no idea. I have no idea. But on the right, I see my home now, and the home that I own after my divorce, and I'm with my daughter. And when I'm stopped at that stop sign, I have to ask myself, will I stay stuck in that apartment alone at 16, or will I turn right towards the future, towards the family and friends and life I have now? Every time I've chosen the future, and look at me now, I'm standing here. open and vulnerable to all of you. Some of you I know, some of you I do not. But because in that vulnerability you may find support, more support than you ever realized was there, it also brings the tools that you need to get through the pain. Support itself is a tool. And tools that pain gives us don't help us survive. They help us build something stronger, keeping the foundation of our families and our lives healthy and whole. They help us realize that being brave isn't about the absence of fear. It's about feeling the fear and fighting anyway. No eye contact. Okay. Fear is what pushes us to reach out. And when we do, we realize we're not alone. We find the hands willing to pull us out of the storm. And that choosing to keep going on, choosing to let others in, and choosing to fully live life instead of just surviving, that's bravery. That is resilience. I was brave, I was resilient, and look at me now.